Want to earn money in your sleep? High yield ETFs are one of the best and easiest ways to earn passive income. Today, I'm sharing my top 5 favorite high yield ETFs, plus a few bonus ones that I think you'll want to know about. Hi, I'm Rachel and welcome to Yield&Grace. I make investing easy, stylish, and empowering, especially for women who want to build confidence with money and create lasting wealth. If that's you, make sure to subscribe and let's dive in. First, a quick disclaimer. These are just my personal favorites and not financial advice. Always, always, always do your own research before investing. So let's get started in my top 5 favorite high yield ETFs. Number 1, we're gonna start with MSTY. MSTY. This ETF is tied to MicroStrategy, which is basically a company that holds a lot of Bitcoin, which is a cryptocurrency. It pays a very high yield, often 80 to 90% on paper. And that's because it uses an option strategy to generate income. Here's the pro. The pro is that it can produce massive payouts, especially as the price of Bitcoin continues to increase. However, if Bitcoin drops, this ETF can be very volatile, and that would be one of the cons. However, being that I absolutely love MicroStrategy and Bitcoin, this is one of my personal favorites just because I am such a Bitcoin girly through and through. So again, do your research on crypto, on Bitcoin, and see if MSTY would be something that you would be interested in holding. For me, it's a long-term stock that I want to hold. It pays me every month, which is such a bonus, but I love anything related to Bitcoin, so MSTY is always one of my favorites. Number 2 is PLTY, which is the ETF ticker for Palantir. It is great for income, but just like MSTY, it's a concentrated stock. So if the underlying stock Palantir takes a hit, then so will the ETF. However, I am in this for the passive income game. PLTY has paid out a lot in the last few months, in the $4 to $7 range. Now, one of the reasons I love PLTY so much is because I absolutely love the underlying stock, which is Palantir, and same goes with MSTY and MicroStrategy. That makes investing in these ETFs that much better because you love the underlying company of the ETF. Every month, whether the stock goes up or down on these ETFs and the underlying stock, I don't really care as much because I'm in this for the passive income game of it all. I want to make sure that I'm getting paid and that this can replace my job. So I do not have to go to work to earn an income. I can invest in these stocks and my money can make money for me instead. Next one is HOOW. And this one is unique because it actually pays weekly, not monthly, like the other two that I mentioned previously. So this one is tied to the Robinhood stock with exposure to its ups and downs. It is generated to produce very high income, but the weekly payouts come with more volatility, which means they can be a little bit more riskier. However, it continues to pay pretty decently, and it's something that has become a staple in my investment strategy. I first started with a lot of monthlies, and I have started kind of going more towards the weeklies, being that the weeklies are able to compound that much faster. Number 4 is HOOY or HOOY, and this one is also tied to Robinhood, but instead of paying weekly, it pays monthly. And just like the others, there's huge potential for the payouts on this stock. HOOY is similar to Palantir, that it's a more expensive stock and it pays very, very, very high dividends every single month, usually in the $5 range, which is absolutely amazing. So think about the more shares that you have, the more money you're going to get paid. So being that HOOY is one of the more expensive high yield dividend stocks, like PLTY, it does not move drastically. So that's what I love so much about it. And as Robinhood is now going to be added to the S&P 500, I think that this has a very good potential to be, for me, a long-term stock that I want to hold and continue getting that payment every single month. Number 5 is COYY. This one is linked to Coinbase, which is a big crypto exchange. Like I said before, I'm a big Bitcoin crypto girly, so I love anything that has exposure to crypto. This one is known for some of the highest yields on paper, oftentimes being over 100%. The trade-off is like MSTY, if crypto takes a turn, this ETF can fall quickly. However, this is a weekly ETF, and just like HOOW, the compounding on these high yield, very high yield ETFs weekly is crazy. The compounding effect is so insane. It can help build your portfolio that much quicker. So those are my top 5, and I also wanted to mention some honorable mentions. AMZY, AMZY, is tied to Amazon. Same strategy as the other ones and gives you exposure to one of the biggest companies in the world. Number 2 is NVDY, NVDY, which is linked to NVIDIA. Very high yield, but then again, lots of volatility. And my last honorable mention is SMCY, which is tied to super microcomputers. This one pays the same week as MSTY and usually has pretty high yields and pretty high payments, which for me, I'm a high yield, high payment girly, so I absolutely love this one. So those are my top 5 high yield ETFs to keep on your radar. Remember, high yield means high income, but it also comes with risk and volatility. For me, these are exciting because they create cash flow and passive income, which is exactly what I am looking for. I hope you've learned something of value from this video, and again, these are just my personal favorites. I'd love to hear what your personal favorites are, and if you're just getting started in your investing journey. I once was a newbie that knew absolutely nothing, and I have grown to become obsessed with high yield ETFs, and it has taken over my whole world and has just completely changed my life, and that's what I want for each and every single one of you. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for my next video.